Do you have any specific topic that you would like to? I can go and take these off.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, you're hitting me directly off walking off the trail.
Mhm.
So, are we like aiming towards some type of philosophical thing or some very narrow thing?
It can be anything that is meaningful to you and has an impact to your life. There's many topics I've covered. Um, Things about society, politics, religion, how we live. Um,
Sure.
there's we also have the quantum box. Now,
Yeah.
if you're looking for a topic, we can explore
I
that.
can probably. How about we say, I believe that anything should be legal which is not directly injurious to a third party.
Okay, anything should be legal.
An example would be if you wish to do heroin, you should be
Mhm.
able to do heroin,
Mhm.
so long as while you're under the influence of heroin, you don't injure some third party, or that the behavior is so innately dangerous that it can't be legal under any circumstance.
So, including just so I
I would say
understand.
not heroin. It would
Okay,
not rise to that level for me.
that heroin is not just so
It's
that.
not so innately dangerous
Uh,
that it should be illegal because you're
mhm.
essentially guaranteed to cause some injury to a third party.
Okay, so that heroin doesn't meet that standard,
Does
so
not.
therefore it should
It
be
should be
legal.
legal.
Okay.
Not
Uh,
that I recommend it.
yeah. So you just so I understand that the claim is that anything um, things should be legalized if it doesn't directly isn't directly harmful to someone else. Um, for example, heroin isn't directly harmful to someone else,
Correct.
and therefore it should be legal. On a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being absolutely you don't believe this claim at all, and 100 you're fully confident and nothing is going to
Metaphysical
change.
certainty.
Yeah,
I would say on a scale of 1 to 100, 75.
75. Okay, that's a fairly confident level. Um, do you? Um, what are the reasons that got you to that level?
Well, I believe that there's a very high value in human freedom, and people should be able to engage in conduct that we might not generally approve of because it still allows them to manifest their human freedom, even if we might disagree with it, only to the degree that it does not directly injure a third person.
Okay,
So you
so
can engage in self destructive behavior if you want.
hmm,
Um,
okay, so if there it sounds like you're saying that there is a lot of value in freedom. So the reason why you believe that at that level is because of values that you have, and
mhm,
specifically in freedom,
sure.
um, and uh, that the claim that anything that isn't directly harmful to someone like heroin that should be legalized and
Sure.
that because of the values. Um, is that if you didn't have that belief in values, would you also be at that 75% level?
Well, no, it's derived from
Those
placing a high
values.
value in human freedom for
Yeah,
sure.
the values and human freedom. Okay. So if those values weren't there, then your level would be lower.
Undoubtedly.
Okay. Is there a way to, are values a good way to believe something is true?
Are values a good way to believe something is true?
Yeah.
I mean, facts, logic, and reason are reasons to believe something is true. Because I value something doesn't inherently make it true. No.
Okay. So the,
I believe. I mean, there are some to me
yeah.
fundamental human truths. I mean, the
Yeah.
value of freedom is fairly innate to me,
Okay.
like natural rights kind of thing.
Yeah. Um, so it sounds like, okay, so if the value uh, is there what would reduce your confidence? What would cause your confidence in the legalization? of heroin, for example, from 75? What would cause it to go down?
Sure, because we picked heroin just as an
Yeah.
example, but if someone demonstrated to me that, because I'm not an expert in heroin by any stretch, that it was so innately dangerous that it would, you're so probable that you cause an injury to the third party, then I would say it meets the standard for being illegal, notwithstanding the fact that it impinges on human freedom.
Okay.
So I have imperfect knowledge of the application of it because I am not an expert in every subject.
Okay.
But I would just say, as we approach the decision about how to treat certain human behaviors, we have to place a high value on human freedom when evaluating that.
So the other method that you mentioned, that the knowledge or exploring and understanding of the impact of it being inherently harmful, um, that would reduce your confidence. That method,
Yeah,
that
improved
method.
knowledge about the specific item,
Mhm.
that it's too dangerous.
Okay. Um, is there a way to test your knowledge or your current knowledge on the subject of heroin and impacts on heroin and
My
its, yeah,
my
yeah.
my knowledge of it is
Uh,
quite limited.
okay.
Um, you know,
Uh,
I no personal
yeah.
experience with it.
Is there a way to gain, other than personal knowledge, is there a way to gain that
Sure,
knowledge?
medical experts,
Hmm.
drug addiction experts,
Hmm. Okay.
psychologists, psychiatrists,
Yeah.
experts in the field.
Okay. So, I guess kind of trying to explore that method of relying on experts. So you're saying that expert knowledge have would be a reason to adjust your confidence level
In
on
the
the belief.
in the application of my value of human
Hmm.
freedom,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
if someone were to convince me that, hey,
Hmm.
you can't do heroin without being
Hmm.
an innate danger to people around you,
Yeah.
then certainly that would change my opinion of it.
Okay.
Because all I'm doing is weighing
Hmm.
the impact of whatever the
Yeah.
hypothetical law is on my high value on human freedom. So
Okay.
if the balance becomes different because of improved information, then the application of my value would change.
How do you feel your knowledge on that expert level right now? What is
On
uh,
heroin or on human freedom?
medical experts on
Limited,
specific, very limited?
limited. Yeah, I mean, I was using heroin as an example,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I could be
Hmm.
that one on that specific one. I could probably easily be persuaded if
Hmm.
someone
Yeah.
indicated to me that there was a
Hmm.
substantial danger.
Okay. All right. Um, the so we kind of explore two different methods. The values, that method to believe specific claims. It also sounded like we also explored the exploring expert opinions. Um, is there ways when uh, exploring expert opinions where experts can be wrong?
Of course,
Okay.
I mean, science changes over time.
Yeah. Is there a way to test, I guess, expert knowledge or values?
I mean, obviously, with substantial effort, I could become an expert on the subject, but more specifically, I mean, I have to trust and say, if it's a scholarly article, is it a peer reviewed article? I would take a peer reviewed article over a non peer reviewed article. If it's, some talking head on TV, I have to have some
Mhm.
system for weighing the value of an expert opinion. I
Yeah.
could look at their credentials,
Hmm.
whatever. I could look at critiques of their work um, to become more educated on it.
Given our limited or your limited experience or knowledge of the experts' opinions on heroin, for example,
Hmm.
um, is 75% the right level for heroin?
Oh no, no,
Okay.
absolutely not. No, my level of confidence on the heroin, if 100 is a metaphysical certainty and 0 is absolute confidence that it is incorrect and 50 is a
Hmm.
toss up, 55.
55. Okay. Okay. Um, And okay,
The
do you have
75 ranking was on the
on the
on the
general
yeah, the general
on the
philosophy.
general
Yeah.
philosophy on the belief on value? All right. Okay. Do you have any questions for me about the?
Nope. I
Okay.
appreciate your time.
All right. Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the talk, and hope you did too.
I did.
And but yeah, the YouTube channel is called Sound Epistemology,
Sound epistemology. All right.
and yeah, if you're interested.
I will. I will check it out.
How do you think that went?
I think it went pretty well for my first time.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I think the things that I wish I could have done better was I was trying hard to try to clarify his belief, and I did. But then as the conversation went, I realized I wasn't sure if we were talking about all things or heroin, right?
Right.
And so it did go back and clarify it, and then it kind of, and so I wish I had kind of in the beginning narrowed into, okay, let's talk about heroin and get his belief level. So I didn't
Make it
know.
more specific.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it more specific.
So that would have been easier
Yeah.
if you had stuck to one particular,
Yeah.
call it vice,
Yeah,
that should be legal
yeah,
based on the criteria.
yeah. It might have been more specific because then we were kind of bouncing between the general belief and using values as a methodology.
Right.
And I didn't really know how to explore values as methodology
I
to
loved your
believe.
question about that. Like, should we be using values to determine what's true, or something to that effect? Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. That was a normative claim, so like a should claim, which is different than a truth claim, right?
Yeah.
How did that affect what you asked? With it being that category of claim.
Yeah. I didn't know where else to go after, after asking that question, like should we use values and whatever. And I remember what he responded with. I just didn't know what would be
Yeah.
a good follow-up question for that.
Could someone use their values to arrive
At something wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Another avenue that you could take in that situation, you don't have to, but you could explore what's informing the value.
Yeah.
And sometimes that'll give you a claim that is not a normative claim that might be easier to explore. Like, the reason why I value this is because I believe XYZ, and XYZ might be easier to explore if you run into something like that. Like, because I, because of my religious belief.
Yeah.
That's what's informing my value.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about, because theoretically, if they shift their confidence in what's informing their value, that could get them to recalibrate their confidence in whatever that's supporting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I realized when he was talking about values of freedom, it was kind of like we were at a fork in our discussion or the interview, and the fork I chose was what I felt more comfortable with, which is, let's discuss expert scientific, and that's why I wanted to narrow down to heroin legalization. Another fork that we could have gone down, which would have been equally, I think, even more fascinating, is the values of freedom and why Americans believe the values of freedom. Having visitors and knowing a lot of people from other countries, I know that has a big impact. That's unique to America. Like, Americans place a huge value in freedom and individual freedom.
Yeah.
And that would have been just a fun topic to explore.
Yeah. Choose your own adventure, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do you think he knows your position?
I don't think he does. I mean, I think at the end, I'm not sure if he gave. I don't think I gave anything to indicate what my. And so I'd be curious if he, what his thoughts on it. But I would have guessed that he wouldn't know what my position was on it.
Yeah. And so, what does that tell you about how well you were at staying neutral and maybe not leading him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think I did pretty well on that. So,
good.
yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
All right.
So, isn't this fun?
It is. Yeah. It's actually that was I actually really enjoy these types of talks, and it's hard to. I enjoy talking about it with my daughter, but yeah, I would love to talk about it with more people. So yeah, that was fun, and to have an excuse or to get people to stop and talk. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, one more question.
Mm.
How does this compare with other conversations like this that you've had not in person?
Um, I think that if it wasn't in person, I like on Reddit or less real time, I probably would have had more time to reflect, realize that we could have had a fork in the conversation,
Hmm.
and then I probably would have chosen to talk about freedom and values and um, whereas I felt like I'm trying to you know think on my feet and figure out, okay, how am I going to follow up to on questions. I think what I want to do to get better is let there be more thinking time in the conversation and not be thinking, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want to ask based on his response? But
Hmm.
to even let me reflect on it and to figure out, okay, what's the right question next to keep the epistemology moving forward.
So, having said that, do you prefer in person like this, or would you
I think it's
prefer
more fun to do it in person.
more fun?
Yeah, well, because it's just interacting with other people,
Uh huh.
and whereas you get less interaction, there's more people who want to play speed chess than people who want to play a 3 hour game of chess.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I look forward to doing this again or seeing
Try
if
to
we
get
can get
another one, huh?
somebody else. But
Cool.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.